Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user NoSelection4028. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my boyfriend's dying mother while planning a trip to Europe? I, 25 female, live with my boyfriend Liam, 24 male. About a month ago, his mom Tanya began claiming she's dying of cancer, but no diagnosis has been confirmed. Every hospital visit ends with her being sent home. A nurse even told Liam she might be faking. It started when she stayed one night at our one-bedroom apartment that turned into a week of chaos. She refused air conditioning and fans, said they hurt her skin, but blow-dried her hair daily. The apartment smelled awful. Everything had to be dark and silent, and she constantly demanded help. She even stormed into our bedroom at 3 a.m. asking Liam for massages. We sleep naked, so that was awkward. She criticized our Buddhist souvenirs, insisted we hang a cross. I did, and complained non-stop. She suggested we move in with her, an hour from our jobs and school. I'm a full-time student with 2 jobs and a 4.0 GPA, and I was falling behind. Liam, who works full-time, switched to remote work. His boss hated this, to care for Tanya. Her health updates were always shifting. MRI, cancelled surgery, then chemo postponed due to infection, then E. coli, always a new reason. No clear diagnosis or paperwork. When her husband David, who funds her lifestyle, was away, she made us go to her house to get her jewelry because she thinks he'll steal it when she dies. He's an alcoholic according to her. We were supposed to take her to the ER right after, but we ended up staying 16 hours doing chores. I folded 420 clothing items, cleaned the whole house, and felt like her unpaid maid. Not a single please or thank you. She was stalling to go to the ER, and when we finally got there at 5 a.m., she said she'd check herself in and sent us home. 3 hours later, she called again, sobbing for help. She had been rejected by the ER. I suspect she faked it. Liam and I have both been skipping meals, losing sleep, and falling behind at work to help her. He once said he's waiting for her to pass away so we can move to Europe. He's been forced to manage her divorce, lawyers' meetings, and funeral prep. Meanwhile, David, who's paying the hospital bills and had been kept in the dark about this, sent Liam aggressive texts like, "I call BS," and "Don't show up at my house no more," then later apologized. Tanya called begging for help, but this time she wanted me because David is jealous of Liam. I had clearly told Liam I needed that weekend to study for final exams, and going to that house alone seemed sketchy. Now I'm planning a 2 to 3 week Europe trip to see my mom, who I haven't seen in over a year. Liam says he supports it, but called it a little selfish. He's asked, "If I were dying, would you quit your job to be with me? And if it were your mom, would you help her?" I felt pressured to say yes, but the truth is, my family wouldn't lie to me or use me like this. I love Liam and want to be there for him, but I don't trust his mom, and this is starting to affect our relationship. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help Tanya and going home to Europe? No, OP, I don't think you're the a-hole. The way you present the story, it does sound like Tanya is faking it. Unless she has a clear diagnosis, why keep going to the ER? I mean, the writing is on the wall, he just refuses to read it. Why not take his mom to a specialist and get her diagnosed? I'm pretty sure she'll fight you guys tooth and nail to not get there, which should be proof enough that she's faking it. And in my opinion, between you and him, who's being selfish is him, not you. I mean, that whole hypothetical scenario that he posted is absolute BS because, as you said, your mom wouldn't lie to you like that, not like Tanya, right? So no, OP, you're not the a-hole, and definitely Liam's the one being selfish. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Ms. F says, "Not the a-hole. I know you love your boyfriend, but you need to ask yourself if you're willing to give up your own life for him and his mom, because it's never going to stop. It could stop if he chooses to set boundaries, but it doesn't sound like he'll do that." And OP responds, "Thank you. He's assured me multiple times that I'm his priority. If I told him to stay with me instead of going to the hospital, he would. And the only times I'll ever ask him to stay is when I can tell his own health is suffering from it. He's also ready to move to Europe with me. It's just that he's getting guilt-tripped by his mother. Every time he tries to leave the hospital, she falls to her knees and says stuff like, "God will bless you more if you stay. This is our last meal together." Or, "I have no one. I'm all alone." And that's what gets to him. Recently, he asked me to come to the hospital with him to give him a reason to leave early. When we tried to explain to her that we have an appointment elsewhere, she cuts us off and says, "Just go then." She didn't care for an explanation. When Liam said, "Bye mom, I love you," she just snapped back, "Actions speak louder than words, don't call me anymore." But then 2 hours later, she calls him and begs for him to come back. I don't get it. Annie Annihilation says, "Not the a-hole. I think you need to have a serious sit down with Liam and suggest his mom get therapy. No one has that many issues and gets rejected from an ER or has important procedures cancelled and not rescheduled for as soon as possible. She's using this as manipulation. Your lives will be permanently on hold until this is dealt with or contact is cut." And Opie responds, "That's what I've been worried about since day one. Ever since we invited her to stay one night, I had a feeling it was going to be months until this gets settled. I like your advice, however my boyfriend is strictly against therapy. Have kindly suggested it to him in the past with his own issues, but he refuses to even consider it. Doubt he'll suggest it to his mom, especially since he doesn't think she's manipulating us. I will try though. Worst thing that can happen is that he says no. Thank you." North Artichoke 6721 says, "Not the a-hole. You should go visit your mom. You can say she needs your help just as much as his mother needs him, if you want to. If she hasn't been diagnosed with anything serious, she is unlikely to die in the 2 weeks that you're gone. Obviously things happen to people and there is always a chance that any one of us might die." And Opie responds, "And if she were to die right as I'm overseas, I'd fly back in a heartbeat to be there for my boyfriend, no question. I just feel like I can't stay here and tend to her during my summer break and get guilt-tripped every day when I could be spending some time with my own family. It does feel very selfish, but I haven't seen my family in a year and I'm not sure if it makes me the a-hole to leave my boyfriend behind. I wish he could just come with me, and he said he totally would if he had any more paid time off, but he used it all on his mom." Javel1 says, "Not the a-hole. Why is his family more important than yours? I would tell him that he should move her to assisted living or an apartment and hire help. Let him know that while you love him, you are not lighting your future on fire to help someone who won't help themselves." And Opie responds, "We've tried getting her assisted living and hired help, but somehow they all refuse to take the gig. Something's always preventing her from getting help and I can't tell if it's true or if she's the one denying help. Also, I do think that his family should be as important as mine. We see our partnerships as a family, meaning his family is, whether I like it or not, my family. So I do think if she was on her deathbed, I shouldn't just go on vacation in Europe. I'm only considering it because I don't believe she's that sick, and if she is, then she should get help and not exploit my boyfriend." And Odd Refrigerator 18 says, "Not the a-hole. Does Liam see that she's faking it or does he genuinely believe her? Not that it really makes a difference. You cannot let this affect your life to the point of no return. Absolutely keep doing things for yourself and he should too." And Opie responds, "So, I don't think he sees it. I've brought up once that what she's doing is manipulation, and he said that's a bit harsh. I then asked him if he thinks he's ever been manipulated by his mom, and he said, 'Oh, definitely. She's the biggest manipulator I know, but this is different because she's actually sick, so she just really needs me to be with her.' So I think he's a bit in denial. Unless I'm the crazy one and she really is sick, I'd owe the world an apology." The community agrees that Opie is not the a-hole, that she should just go on her holiday and that the boyfriend needs to wake up. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. A lot has happened since my last post. I did take your guys' advice and went to Europe to see my family for 3 weeks. Liam called me incredibly selfish, finding countless reasons for me to stay. I stood my ground and had a serious talk with him about feeling manipulated and guilt-tripped. That escalated into a meltdown. threats like, "I'll book your ticket right now. I can and I will. I can break up if I want to." Then driving off and breaking down, sobbing like never before. He said he doesn't mean to manipulate me, that it hurts to hear me say I feel manipulated when all he's asking is for me to be there for him. I don't excuse his behavior, but if my mom was sick, I'd want his comfort too, so I understood his need for support. He calmed down, apologized, and has been affectionate since. He ended up supporting my decision to leave and said how happy he was for me while I was with my family. I felt great over there, cherishing every moment, didn't miss America at all. Liam seemed okay while I was gone and picked me up from the airport with a welcome home cake, which was sweet. We had a talk about the whole mom situation and he kindly asked me to be more supportive of coming to the hospital with him. I agreed. Tanya was very dependent on Liam for weeks, calling him over day and night, guilt-tripping him non-stop. Eventually, he refused to help her anymore. She cut ties briefly, but they reconnected. His involvement has gone way down since then. Tanya's sister flew in from Cali to help out, but couldn't take her crazy demands, so she left. Niece came too, but left 3 days later. Tanya had surgery and started chemo, is getting thinner and losing her hair. She has another surgery scheduled for mid-October to get a mass removed, and a nurse at the hospital did say to Liam, while I was there to witness it, "I'm glad you're visiting your mom. Cancer can be so tough." I don't think Tanya is faking anymore. I am the a-hole for being unsupportive. Despite believing Tanya, I haven't been involved at all since returning from Europe. I'm better at standing my ground now and defending myself when I feel manipulated by them. I learned how to say no. May not have mastered it yet, but I'm prioritizing my grades and my family over his mom's odd demands, while also balancing quality time with my boyfriend. I show sympathy for his mom and text her here and there, but I agree with the Reddit comments that it's not my job to treat or nurse her or spend my weekends doing her chores. Other updates. Tanya didn't get divorced. She needs David to pay her medical bills, but tells people he's a rude alcoholic who's waiting for her to die. Liam quit his job. It was too much on top of his mom. His mood is way better, he's healing mentally and treating me better too. I support his unemployment for now because he's working diligently on projects and has enough savings for his part of rent. I haven't paid for any of his things since he's quit. He's also still covering most of the groceries, so financially, nothing has changed as of now. If his savings run out, he'll be forced to work whether he wants to or not. As a US citizen, he, unlike me, is at least able to work anywhere, even if it's just a part-time gig. I'm not allowed to work off campus and can only work up to 20 hours a week. So if he runs out of money, he'll have to work. Even if I wanted to cover his share, I can't. I just don't make enough money with my campus jobs. I also have emergency funds that I keep to myself in case I ever need to suddenly pay for a flight home or unexpected hospital bills, etc. that he doesn't have access to. I'm able to support myself with my work-study jobs. I just wouldn't be able to carry him fully if we were to stop paying his parts. So as long as his savings hold up, we're good. And we both know that and have agreed on that. If I'm able to find a full-time job after graduation, I will cover a bit more of the rent share, which is fair because he's paying a little more for rent these past 2 years since he has had a full-time job and I didn't. Alright, well, Tanya wasn't faking cancer. I was absolutely wrong about that one. But apparently that hasn't swayed her manipulation ways and Liam still can't see it. Regardless, for you and Liam OP, I'm going to count this as a positive update for the relationship. You guys were able to sit down and talk and plot a path forward. So here's wishing you and Liam the best in the future. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole? Would I be the A-hole public? And it's by user Stick. Am I the a-hole for telling my in-laws I have to quit babysitting for them? I, 24 female, babysit for my in-laws who have a 3-year-old daughter. I also have my own son who's just under 2, so I need to bring him with me on days that I'm sitting. I started working for them in September of last year and it was going well when my son was small. He slept a lot and I was able to manage both of them. My father-in-law is a firefighter and my mother-in-law is a school teacher. I'm only needed on days my father-in-law works, but he's on a revolving schedule to the schedule changes from week to week. I babysit anywhere from 2 to 4 days a week from 7 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. My sister-in-law also started part-time preschool, Monday through Wednesday from 8:45 a.m. to 11:25 a.m. I quickly realized this year that I'm not able to manage my sister-in-law's preschool schedule, my son's change in needs and schedule, and my own house responsibility. Not only is the stress and time this job requires taking away from my ability to keep up with my own house and family, but my son is having to mold his schedule to fit this schedule. I'm oftentimes shaking his leg in the car ride home from picking up my sister-in-law from school to keep him awake because their naps have to line up or neither one of them gets a nap, and that's awful for everyone involved. My husband is an EMT who works 3 days a week, 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. We oftentimes have to leave before my son gets to see his dad in the morning, so they don't see each other sometimes for a couple of days. My husband and I were discussing how difficult on us and our son it is to watch my sister-in-law and how I don't think I can do it anymore. We realized it takes my husband picking up only 2 overtime shifts a month to make more money than I do working a full month for our in-laws. Also, I know about my in-laws. They are much more well off than we are. All 3 of their daughters are in private school. They go on multiple vacations a year. They have brand new cars, etc. I came to my mother-in-law on Monday and told her I need to talk to her about quitting, and we had a long conversation about why and different options. I told her it was greatly affecting my mental health, my marriage, and my family in general. She asked that I think about some concerns, which included, what will we do if something big happens financially and we need help? How am I going to get the mental help that I need? Anxiety. How will my husband picking up overtime affect our marriage? I asked in return that she talk to my father-in-law about all their options. She agreed and said, let's get through this week and we'll talk about our findings. My father-in-law sent a text on Tuesday asking if we could come over that evening to discuss babysitting moving forward. I informed him that my husband was on shift, but we could meet Wednesday or Saturday. He said he would call off of work Wednesday so we could talk. I suggested Saturday again so he wouldn't need to miss work. He insisted on Wednesday. Cut to Wednesday, we dropped my son off with my sister-in-law. We went to my in-laws' house and we sat down. They asked me to recap my reasoning and asked what came from the concerns they had. I told them about my husband only needing 2 days of overtime, and I had actually found a very affordable company to do counseling through. I did a lot of research in the few days I was given to find solutions and answers to all of their concerns. When I asked them what solutions they had that didn't involve me, they said they looked into one option but nothing else, and they were just hoping to compromise. The whole conversation dipped back and forth between being hurtful and being focused. They felt that we were hanging them out to dry, despite me saying I wasn't leaving right away and I'd stay until they found someone. They said they were really relying on me and I'm disrespecting them by asking to leave. They said I was putting their daughter's well-being on the back burner and I wasn't thinking about how this choice would affect them. I had a full panic attack. I was sobbing on their couch telling them I'm so sorry and I really thought I could do it. But I just felt like I was burying myself and I felt like I wasn't even a person anymore and I just wanted to be home with my family. I left feeling defeated and guilty and wondering if I made a bad choice. I'm sure this will change the dynamics in the house or when we come over, but I really felt like this was the best choice for my family. Wow, OP, your in-laws absolutely suck. You don't need their permission to quit. What the F is wrong with them? The moment you say that something is kind of wrong with you, your mother-in-law starts doing the psychological warfare on you, and your father-in-law positions himself as some sort of authority over you. No, OP, no to all of it. The only message you need to send is, I can't help you out anymore. In 3 weeks' time, I will stop. You have 3 weeks to find somebody to replace me. And that should be the end of the conversation if you and your husband are both on the same page. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. And now let's check out the community comments. JC Bash Bash says, this is so easy. They make you feel like dirt and the job doesn't work. Quit and pull away from your in-laws and work on the anxiety that would push you towards keeping a relationship with people who think you are a slave. Goddess from Cyprus says, if they are that well off, they can afford to hire a nanny or similar. You are not there for them, but for your family. You also need to do what you can for your mental health. I hope your husband fully supports you. And Want to Believe in Magic says, so now you go back to your in-laws and tell them they need to make other arrangements. You don't need them to agree. Your last day will be that date. Tell them they never should have demanded reasons from you that they just dismissed and then used guilt against you. You are not their servant and will not be treated as one. They've basically told you that they will be upset unless you continue to let them use you. That does not have to be your problem. Maybe you can even pick up a part-time job that will help you with your self-esteem and mental health and bringing some money for your own little family. Your in-laws will live. Opie's edit. A lot of people are asking where my husband was in all of this. I asked him prior to the conversation with my father-in-law and mother-in-law to let me do most of the talking as it's my job we're talking about. He did shut down hurtful comments, correct incorrect information, and redirect unnecessary conversation. But after a very lengthy conversation, he agreed to let me talk because that would feel best for me. Thank you to everyone who comments. I appreciate your support and it helps me feel better about this decision. Okay, the community agrees OP is not the a-hole. So let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. My in-laws found someone to watch my sister-in-law. It took them 3 days to find someone, which just makes me a little more frustrated knowing it was so easy for them to find someone and we could have avoided one of the worst conversations I've ever been a part of. But that's it. I'm done babysitting. Thank the Lord. They reminded us on Friday that we have family night on Sunday tonight, but I politely declined as everything is still pretty fresh and upsetting to me. I'm hoping this won't affect my family's relationship with them too much in the future, but my husband and I have talked about taking a pretty big step back after this whole ordeal. I'm happy to be moving on to the next chapter in my life. Thank you to everyone who commented and gave advice. It really did bring me a lot of confidence in my decision. There you have it. Just sucky people. They could have done all of this without putting you through the ringer, OP. So here's wishing you both the best. Take care and thanks for sharing. And now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user LivingAd4941. Don't ask me to wear a collared shirt at 9 PM for the following morning and not expect a surprise. I was doing training to become an instructor in a very lax job where jeans are a requirement. I was doing training 3 hours away and they never told us we needed a collared shirt. I was just planning to wear black V-neck shirts all weekend while teaching. However, the night before my 7 AM class, at 9 PM, they texted us and said, "You need to have a collared shirt for tomorrow." I was like, ain't no way you're telling me this 3 hours from home. Irritated, I went to Target at 9 PM and said, I'm gonna wear a Hawaiian shirt just to be spiteful. They said collared, not what kind of collared. So I picked up one and showed up with it the next morning. Took off my jacket and looked my boss square in the eye and said, be careful what you ask for. They all laughed so hard. The students loved it, they loved it, I loved it, and that's the story of how I ended up with a Lilo and Stitch Hawaiian shirt. Well, they wanted a collared shirt, and they definitely got one. Thanks so much for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.